the details are still trickling in, and there are competing theories about what's happening. In fact, including from different officials. So the head of the Philippine military has suggested that this could be a retaliatory attack after they took out a militant related to the Maute group, which was, by the way, involved in the Marawi crisis back in 2017, which we discussed extensively in interviews in the past. There are also discussions about whether foreign groups, whether from other Southeast Asian countries or all the way from the Middle East, ISIS, Daesh, Middle East may be involved in this. So they're still looking at it, but I think it's also important to look at the nature of the bomb, because there's kind of a trademark, right, as far as terrorist groups are concerned. But the fact that this potentially targeted, or it appears to be targeting a Christian community, also, tells you something about the intentions here. Is this about trying to give a kind of a religious, civilizational kind of effect to this? They mentioned this. So all of those things are being very carefully assessed by officials, and we're looking at the details as they come in, because if we get more details, I think we can more ascertain what's going on. But I don't think for sure we can say which of these competing theories are valid. What is absolutely clear right now is that the Philippines has yet to fully root out extremism.
So let's just talk a little bit about that military operation against one of the Islamist groups. Was that part of a concern that there may be some form of resurgence?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, of course, with the ongoing conflict in the Middle East right now, with concerns about radicalizations, with concerns about also discontent among the Muslim community in the Philippines, it's natural for the security establishment in the Philippines to wonder about the potential resurgence of extremism, whether for ideological reasons, whether it's related to the Middle East issue. But as I mentioned, maybe this also has to do something with the lack of reconstruction and the lack of progress and development in Mindanao itself, both in terms of reconstruction of Marawi since its destruction in 2017, but also in terms of the peace process in Mindanao and Southern Philippines.
Yeah. You talked about, the new leadership. What sort of test could this be for the leadership of Ferdinand Marcos Jr.?
Yes, President Marcos Jr. has been riding high when it comes to foreign defense policy over the past year in terms of strengthening security alliances with the United States, but also with Australia, Japan, among others. So much of our focus for the first time in a very long time has been almost purely on external security threats, namely from China in the South China Sea. So this has been a rude awakening that, as much as the Philippines wants to transition towards external security, we still have some assignment back home. And perhaps this should also refocus the administration in terms of making sure that they pick off where the previous administration left off, because it took us decades to negotiate the peace process in Mindanao to end the Muslim insurgency in the country. We're trying to also end the communist insurgency in the country. So I think there was a rude awakening, and it emphasizes the need for the government to do its best to make sure that as much as it wants to deal with external security threat, it's not slipping on its job when it comes to dealing with domestic security threats. And that obviously it's not just a military issue, but it has political, economic, and social dimensions. And so, to be honest, we're still wondering how is Marcos Jr. going to approach this issue and whether it's going to be different from Duterte and other administrations accordingly.
And to your point, Duterte promised to rebuild the region, and that hasn't happened. How important is it to do that as well as not only just focus from a military point of view or a security point of view?
Yeah, a lot of our allies and friends, including Australia, including United States and European Union, among others, have been helping, especially Japan also, have been helping in terms of development projects, peace process, creating the conditions for, making sure that this kind of extremist groups do not come back. But interestingly, under Duterte, he was hoping that China or Chinese companies will do the big heavy lifting. I mean, if there's one thing that China is known for is, making cities in a matter of years, right? Whole cities. So there was a hope that the Chinese companies could contribute to that. But as we know, not much happened during the Duterte administration. The Chinese companies, they chose to come to Marawi and reconstruct the area and contribute to, making the area beautiful again. Some of them were blacklisted by the World Bank. There was no consultation with communities on the ground. And as you know, what happened was more of a pledge trap. China made a lot of pledges, but really not much came out, even though Duterte was giving concessions right and left. And now under Marcos Jr., the Philippines is really reconsidering, totally its relationship with China. So now suddenly we cannot rely on China anymore. So I think now we're wondering if we can get more help from our friends and allies, including Australia and Japan, to push forward with creating the economic conditions that does not allow insurgent extremist groups from radicalizing people or recruiting for the radical cause.
Yeah, to take hold. Good to talk as always, Richard. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much. Pleasure.